No intro. We're gonna have right into it. Kirk Cousins is being benched for Michael Penix Jr., and he will be the starting quarterback going forward. Now, on Monday, the Falcons did beat the Raiders, snapping a 4-game losing streak. In the last 5 games, Cousins have thrown 9 interceptions and just 1 touchdown. Cousins will finish his season with the Atlanta Falcons with 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, and just 12 fumbles. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know his numbers were that bad. I think we all seen when the season first started, it seems like Kirk was having some type of success over there. In those first 9 games, they only lost about 3 of them. So, like I said, he looked pretty decent, but we all know Kirk Cousins can be the same Kirk Cousins that he's been his whole entire career. The product is there. Falcons knew what they were getting when they signed Kirk Cousins. Now, I will say this. Let's get into his contract. So, of course, we all know the Falcons signed him to a 4-year, $180 million contract last season, and of course, $100 million of that will be guaranteed. So, if they did decide to cut him, they would be on the cap. They will be on the hook. I'm sorry, for $65 million in dead money. Now, if they were to get a suitor and get somebody who want to come in and trade for him, 27.5 of that will be transferred to the team that's trading for him. And then, of course, the Falcons will only be responsible for $37.5 million that will be left on his contract. Now, before we get into potential trades, we gotta have a real discussion about Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins in his whole entire career, this man has backed up the Brinks truck. And when I say backed up the Brinks truck, this man is probably the biggest finesser in NFL history when it comes to the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins have got paid on every single team that he has been to. And it's crazy to me is because like Kirk Cousins hasn't had like much success in the NFL, but it seems like teams continue to like either extend him or pick him up. Now, I will say Kirk Cousins reminds me of a J.R. Smith. Like when he's playing good, he's balling, but when he's not, he's just absolutely terrible. So let's just go ahead and just break down pretty much the contracts that Kirk Cousins has had since he's been in the league. So in contract money in his 13 years, Cousins has made $294,169,486. Yes, you have heard me. The man has made $294 million. So let's break that down real quick. So he signed 2 consecutive franchise tags with the Washington Commanders. That was the first team that he got drafted to, and that was and that, like I said, after his rookie contract, they tried to franchise tag him twice. So he got that money. Then after his rookie contract was up, the Washington Commanders decided they didn't want to extend him. He did sign a 3-year, $84 million contract with the Vikings in 2018. Then they gave him a 2-year, $66 million extension in 2020 before that contract ended. Now, after that, the team turned right back around and signed him to a 1-year, $35 million extension before he hit free agency, getting his last contract from the Falcons. Man, I don't know what these teams are seeing to Kirk Cousins. I'm not, like I said, Kirk Cousins is not like a terrible quarterback, but he hasn't had much success in the playoffs. Now, I will give it to him. They did go on a run when he was with the Vikings. You know, they made it to the NFC Championship game, but you know, they ultimately end up losing that game. But like I said, other than that, the proof was in the pudding, the writing was on the wall. So I'm not really understanding why teams would continue to keep playing for him. Now, I will say some teams get into situations where they're trying to where they're kind of like just desperate for a quarterback, so they need a veteran to come in and take over. And I feel like the Falcons was pretty much in that situation, especially with the quarterbacks that they had over there in the last 3-4 years. They haven't had much success. Now they do have a ton of weapons over there. We all know they have Drake London, they got Bijan Robinson, and of course they got Kyle Pitts at the tight end position. So they're totally loaded at on the offensive level, but they were just missing a quarterback, and they feel like Kirk Cousins could come in and be that guy. But like I said, over these last few games, I guess the Falcons just got pretty much tired of him, throwing so many interceptions. And then of course they was on that 4-game losing streak. Now, one thing that they did do is they drafted Penix last year in the first round. And Kirk Cousins was kind of taken aback by it, like, wow, y'all just gave me this big contract. Like, why would y'all bring in a rookie quarterback. Now, in hindsight, it was an absolute perfect situation for them, being that now, okay, they can move on from Kirk Cousins, who is an aging quarterback. He's 36 years old, and they can move on to their quarterback for the future. Now, this is where it's going to get sticky with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins currently hold a no trade clause, meaning that he cannot go to any other team without his consent. So if they wanted to trade him, they had to come to him and say, "Hey, do you want to go to this team, or what you want to do? What you want to do at this point? Like we want to get rid of you. You want to trade you now." At this point, Kirk Cousins pretty much he holds all the cards in his hands because he can do one or two. He can do one or two things. He can say, "Hey, yeah, trade me to the highest bidder and let me go somewhere else." Or he can be like, "I'm not going nowhere. I'm staying here." He can sit on the bench and just ride out in the sunset till his contract is up. And then eventually they will cut. I'm pretty sure they will cut him because they could just say, "Hey, you know what? You don't want to be traded. You don't want to like work out. You don't want to work things out with us. We'll just go ahead and cut you and take that lick," which will be a big lick. Like I said, if they were to cut him, Kirk Cousins is still going to win because at that point he will be a free agent that he can go sign with any team that he really wanted to at this point. Like the man got all the cards in his hand right now. Like the future is in Kirk's hands because I'm pretty sure if Kirk was like, "Hey, I don't want to be traded," I'm pretty sure Atlanta will just have to bite that bullet and take that cap hit that they're gonna take for paying him all that money. Now, let's just get into some hypotheticals. Like I said, I don't think many teams are going to be open to trade for him, especially with the NFL draft coming up. I would just take my chances with a rookie and try to mold my rookie into what I can the best possible situation for me. I would try to roll I can't even talk, mold my rookie and see what I can get out of him versus, holding on to a Kirk Cousins who's been kind of like injury prone. And he's coming after the Achilles injuries. But I think if I'm an organization, I'm taking my chances. I'm going into the draft and I'm gonna get me a rookie. Now, I will say all rookies are not going to transition to the NFL level, but hey, like I said, I would take my chances. But let's just go ahead and get into some hypotheticals, some teams that might be desperate enough to bring in Kirk Cousins. So just give me a second. I'm going to share my screen and we'll go through and we'll look to see like what teams possibly could bring him in. All right, so let's see if you guys can see my screen. Is a little small, but let me just um make it a little bigger. 1 second. Let's make it a little bigger. Um, all right, let's see. It should be big enough for you guys to see. Should be. All right. So as you can see here, we have, of course, you got your 1 through 6, and pretty much your 1 through 6 is probably 9 times out of 10 is probably going to take a rookie. Of course, you got the Raiders, who are 9 times out of 10 is going to take Shador. Then you got the Giants. I'm pretty sure they're going to take a quarterback. They're probably going to get them a rookie. Now, New England, they don't really need a rookie. They still have Drake May over there. Jacksonville, they don't need a rookie. Of course, they just signed Trevor Lawrence. Now, Carolina could be a possibility of needing a quarterback, being that Bryce Young now he is starting to come along a little bit, but maybe they will take a chance on Kirk Cousins. Who knows? We'll have to see. Tennessee, I can definitely see them maybe potentially trading for Kirk Cousins because they actually just benched Will Levis and Mason Rudolph will be the starter over there. So maybe they can bring in Kirk Cousins, have a veteran on their roster over there. So maybe Tennessee could be a landing spot for Kirk Cousins. Then you have the Browns, who also just benched Jameis Winston, so that can be a potential landing spot. We all know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. They don't know what they're gonna do with him, so that could be a potential landing spot. Chicago, they just got Caleb, so that's no. Maybe New Orleans, if they want to move on from Derek Carr. Derek Carr just got hurt. Then of course you got Miami with Tua. Indianapolis, I don't think so. And then Cincinnati, then of course the Cowboys in San Francisco. They're not going to take a quarterback. But now, like I said, you got potentially the Jets. I can see him potentially going over to the Jets. He has some good weapons over there. And Garrett Wilson, and of course, Devontae Adams just came over there. Then with the Cleveland Browns, you still got Jerry Jeudy. You still got Njoku, the tight end over there. So you got some nice. He will have some nice weapons with the Cleveland Browns. Tennessee, not so many weapons. Only thing they will have over there, he would have Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard over there. And then Carolina, of course, you got Xavier Legette, and then they just got Trooper Hubbard who just signed that big contract. So that's the options. Like I said, if any teams were to consider trading for him, you can just forget about these top two. We already know what those two teams are gonna do. But like I said, Carolina potentially, Tennessee, Cleveland, the Jets, and maybe New Orleans might take a chance on bringing him in. But other than that, like I said, I really just see them maybe just cutting him and then just allowing him to go to whatever team that he would want to go to. If, like I said, if he don't want to cooperate with them and say, hey, let us trade you to this team, or what you think about this deal. I do actually just seeing them cutting him and them biting bullet on that contract. But y'all let me know down in the comments. Where do y'all think that Kirk Cousins will end up at? Do you think that he's gonna cooperate with the Falcons and stay with and allow him to be traded somewhere else? Or what do you guys think you're gonna do? You think one of these teams are desperate enough to take a chance on Kirk Cousins, or do you think they're gonna just ride out with their rookie? Y'all let me know down in the comments what y'all think, or where y'all think Kirk Cousins is gonna end up next. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.